Okay, so we shall start looking at the little explanation about the chart that I published yesterday, because I will follow up something from that and try and show you in real market where similar pattern, though different instrument and a different time frame, but a similar pattern has happened, and hopefully that might give you an insight, not necessarily guarantee, but an insight as to what you might be looking out for, and kind of like forewarned, is forearmed. So in that particular context, this is a chart that I have published. Okay, this is the 15-minute chart, and maybe I should actually have the other chart which was a longer term chart, this one here. This is the 4-hour chart. So this is the chart that I published, and just to explain to you, let me close this out. Okay, let me explain to you that up until yesterday, when the prices really started shooting up, my analysis was telling me that I still think we are basically in a correction mode. All this, what has happened, is a correction of the previous parabolic rise. Okay, so whatever that rise we've had, you know what I'm talking about. We've been going up almost literally vertical. So all what is happening now is kind of a correction. This is not a new trend. I do not think it's a new trend. It's a correction, even though we are going up very strongly. So to most people, they might say, well, if it quacks like a duck and it walks like a duck, it's a duck. Well, maybe so, but this is not a new trend. In other words, this trend, which many people are currently expecting, is going to take them to like 2,000 and 3,000. This is not going to take you there. I am seriously expecting this one to top out, anywhere from now to about previous high. I could even go on to make a new high. For example, in my video recording yesterday and in a live presentation, I tried to explain that it could even go up something like that. Okay, that is not going to mean we are in a new uptrend. The fact that currently we are going up, but it's a part of a correction. That's the concept I want to try and explain to you today. And then when you look at the recording, you'll understand a little bit of background why I have been doing that. There is also a schematic diagram. So many times you'll see a zigzag correction like this one here. Okay, so you simply get leg down, partial retracement, another leg down to complete a correction. And you can see even within this one, there are many examples of that. For example, here we came down, up and down, so it's a zigzag. Okay, over here it's a little bit not quite clear, but it's a zigzag. It's down, up and down, then we continued. You look at most of the zigzag, they're like that. They have, whether the zigzag is in direction of an uptrend with a correction of zigzag down, or whether the market is coming down and we get a zigzag within that, but it is a zigzag. So that's one possible type of correction. And the other one, which often come in a wave 4, and this is currently a wave 4. I haven't put a larger degree labels on, but you will see from my weekly chart that I published a couple of weeks ago that I am calling this one a wave 3 in bracket. So it's a bracket Roman numeral wave 3. Okay, so we are now currently going to be completing a wave 4 in Roman numeral. So wave 4 is going to take a while to complete. This is not the final low. We might come back to retest it. We might even get a new low. That's what I'm trying to say, that this is a correction. And we could have this kind of a pattern. So for example, here we dipped down, came back up and dipped down. So we've got this part of the leg sorted. Now we are going back up, and yesterday, before we had this price up, I was expecting, on my previous chart you will see, and many of the charts that I've posted, you will see I was expecting from about 850 to 950 as a possible zone to have this pattern come down, but it didn't, and we took up almost a very strong vertical takeoff almost. So I had to then review and I had to first of all confirm my analysis was still correct, and secondly try and understand what's happened here. Okay, so I went through a chart, and I have explained to few people a couple of days ago that this is not a new uptrend, and the reason why it's not a new uptrend is because if this was a zigzag, then normally you would get this one called wave A, this one here called wave B, and then this one here will be wave C. Okay, now the rule says that in a wave A we can have what we had here, like A, B, C to form a wave A. It's possible. Okay, but when you go for wave C, we have to have this portion of the leg has to have 5 waves. It has to have 5 waves like that. You know, roughly drawing out like that. So it has to have 5 waves. Okay, now if it doesn't have 5 waves, then it's not a wave C, and until you have a 5 wave, you cannot end the correction, because the last leg must be 5 waves. So this one is not a 5 wave. I tried to explain this a couple of days ago, that when you count this one, it counts like one drop, then some kind of a triangle. Okay, you can see just an outline sketch of that, maybe a triangle. Difficult to really make out what it is, but it's probably a triangle. So if that was a triangle, then maybe what we've got a drop down at WXY, then we had correction and we had another leg down, but it's not a 5 wave. Otherwise, if this was wave 1, then I would say probably somewhere along here is a wave 2, right? Then this cannot be wave 3. Many people have been putting that down as a wave 3, 4 and 5. That's not possible, because there is what is called a channeling. So if you, for example, put a channeling here like that, like a temporary channeling, and actually what I should do is I should take up a copy of this chart so I don't mess this one up completely. Okay, so let me just make a copy of that, and we'll follow up on the other chart. Okay, so in this chart we have a channeling, and what the channeling does, it tells you whether we are in generally like a particular channel, and a channel defines to some extent, or helps you to define what wave we are in. You see now there like that. So this is just roughly drawn. Don't get hung up on whether the price is exactly touching the line or not, but because we had that, whatever it is in there is one wave. Okay, so if this was one wave, then we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, and we should have had another leg. We didn't have that another leg, and because we didn't have that another leg, it simply turned out to be another zigzag. So we got A, B, C, one zigzag retracement, and A, B, well, not even A, B, C, because wave C must have 5 waves. So is actually what I have done previously is I've said W, X, Y. So this could be like a larger W, like a larger W in a bracket, right? And then you got this one here as a larger X, right? And then we come down here to form a larger Y. So with my current understanding, that's how I am currently labeling. Although previously, if you've seen my chart, you will have seen what I was expecting is we had A, B, C down as an A, then we had A, B and a C, and this triangle would have been the C, because you would have had effectively like 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. That would have been the wave C, and then we would have had a major decline, which would have been 5 wave down. Now we didn't have that. Instead, we actually took up to the F side. So now I'm currently labeling them in the sense that what we had from here is another W, X and Y to give me wave A in bracket, then this one retracement wave B in bracket, and now we are in wave C, and wave C must have 5 waves. So you can see now I'm labeling this one as wave 1 in Roman numeral parentheses, wave 2 in Roman numeral parentheses, and we are currently within that trend channel that I have applied on here, and we have a steeper trend channel in purple, and we are currently in that, and that is a wave 3. So this one is a wave 3, and it looks like we got minor 1, minor 2, the high of today is a minor 3, right? We're going to come back for minor 4, and it's going to go back up, either to retest the high or maybe make a new slightly higher high. So like 1130, 1150 kind of area, and we'll expect another sharp decline and then a final leg up, and that will complete the 5 wave in this wave C, and after that we would come down. Now whether we reach all the way to the top or whether we fail to do so and maybe turn back from 1150 or 1175 is less important, although we'll keep a lookout for it. At the moment now, with everything being equal, I have lots of Fibonacci relationship lining up in this area. Plus this pitchfork is, this pink line is halfway between the top. So in other words, this is the first quarter, this is the second quarter, third quarter and fourth quarter of the pitchfork. So what I've done is I've applied 1 quarter reach out. So this is same as from here to the pink, and see where it is coming. So just physically looking at it is giving me that maybe that's where we are headed. That's why I've applied that particular box. But I have also explained that is possible. Some people are saying, if the price went from here to there, will I still be bearish? And yes, I will. Right? Even if it goes to 1300, I will still be bearish. So if people don't want to agree, that's fine. You know, I don't want to force my view on them, but I will be bearish. The reason why I will be bearish, because at this moment in time, hardly anybody is even considering that we might get a retest of this low before we have a new uptrend, a proper new uptrend. Hardly anybody is expecting us to come down even anywhere near 700 and 600 now, because we had this price rise yesterday. But certainly talking about going back to 450 and 400 and maybe even 300 and 250 is almost like, you know, you're onto something. You're onto some kind of drugs or something. That's the way people are expressing their views to me. So, but I understand, because I think they don't know what I know. But that's fine. Now that I've picked up this, you can see the outline that I put in there is simply a free hand drawing outline, and I expect that pretty much to hold, you know, give and take a little, because this is the very volatile beast. So if I said 1130 and it goes to 1150, doesn't necessarily mean I'm wrong. And the other thing that most of you will need to recognize in order to benefit from what I am discussing now and in the future is, first of all, I am not, and I never will be, 5-minute trader and 15-minute trader. I am not. And certainly for this kind of instrument, I think is almost impractical to trade. But if people can trade it successfully, good on them. I am very pleased for them. But I, for myself, will not want to. I never will. Even if I'm absolutely 100% guarantee on a volatile instrument like this one on a 5 and 10-minute chart, I will not. But what I will do is, I've done my major analysis on this one now. Now I know where things is going. I will now go down to like a 15-minute chart and just, you see, on a 15-minute chart we had a retracement, but now I can see on a 15-minute chart we have already had A, B and C retracement. So potentially we could now be in a new uptrend, and in a new uptrend we go very minute wave 1, very minute wave 2, and now we are in a minute wave 3 upward. So I have already sketched out what I think this is going to look like. Okay, it may not pan out exactly like that. Maybe my arrow will have to go down here, but that's immaterial. I'm basically telling now that maybe we've gotten, you know, like a short-term low in here, and we will be now making a new high. We could go to 11, 1120, 1150, 1130, anywhere in that area. We should have 5 legs to do that. And once we finish that, then we will have another sharp sell-off, like I've said in here, right, back towards retesting previous resistance, maybe now becoming a support area, around about 990, 980, maybe even 1000, and we'll have a final leg up. Now if that happens, then I will be more or less pretty exact in what I'm suggesting where the price is going to go. And then the most significant part of what I'm saying is, keep your mind open. Don't believe me if you don't want to, but just keep your mind open. Just store it in the back of your mind to say that lunatic Danji is saying that there's going to be a 5 wave down to this kind of area. Just keep that in your mind, right? Don't believe it. Don't trade on the basis of that, but just keep it in your mind, because I think you will find it very useful to understand what this is all about. This is A, B and C is a 3 wave down. This back up, in my understanding, it's A, B and C. So in Elliott wave they call that flat. Flat meaning you have gone back nearly 80% of this. So if the price gets anywhere into 80% zone, so where is 80% zone? This is 78.6%, right? So we've already hit that. So we are into 80% zone. So this is technically now, for all intents and purposes, qualifying to be potential flat wave correction. Okay. Now in a flat wave correction, we have potential of a 5-wave decline. Now one thing you need to understand on this 5-wave decline is I need a retest of that. And if you look at my RSI on 4-hour, and this is the reason why I need a retest, is this move down, although it looks like on this 4-hour it looks like there's a divergence, but if you look at it on a daily, there's no divergence at all, meaning that we need a retest of that. That was confirmed low with the RSI, and so it needs a retest. And that's why I'm suggesting we may at least go back to that kind of area. Okay, there are other reasons too, but I won't bore you with them all. But there is a possibility that instead of this 5-wave coming down all the way to here, it is possible that we might get a 5-wave which will come down to maybe say something like here, something like 650, maybe even 600, and then from here take off. Right? That's possible. But whatever it is, whether it comes down, if that happen, then it will be called a truncated wave C. Truncated meaning it didn't probably go and do the full justice to its overall maximum extent. So it's truncated because it stopped short. Okay, that's why it's called truncated. So, but whatever it does, we need clear 5-wave, and we don't have to examine this with a microscope rather, in order to find the 5 waves. It needs to be reasonably obvious. Maybe not to completely novice or somebody who's not used to look at it, but you need to be pretty. It needs to be pretty obvious. If you're looking at a 4-hour chart, it needs to be very obvious. Just like you see this, very obvious. You need to see 5-wave down, fairly obvious, and that 5-wave down, just like the trend channel I'm putting in here, we will probably have some sort of a trend channel formed. Once the price starts coming down, we'll have a trend channel. So if it doesn't come all the way to 450 or 400, what you will need to find is, once we get a first drop and a retracement, that first significant drop, I'm not talking about $10 or $50 drop, I'm talking about a drop that if we have a top here, we drop down to like 980 or maybe something like 900, that kind of drop, then we get ABC retracement. That will be wave 2. Once we got that, we'll be able to put a trend line on, and then we'll get something which looks like an outline, like so, right? So we should have a fairly clear downtrend, just like this uptrend here channel. We'll have a downtrend channel, and then whilst you remain in that, you have every expectation of seeing these 5 waves. If we stop short and we break out of it, and we had a 5-wave, then that means we finished. If we haven't had a 5-wave, then we've got really terrible, very complex pattern going on, and I won't know about that until we get further into the price. But at the moment, this is the schematic diagram of what I think is going to come about. Now I will cover the Bitcoin, and then I'll go back to this to show you in a live example where this is, or rather, while we are talking about this, let me go straight into that to show you in live example where this happened before in another instrument and what transpired. So you will then have not just a conceptual discussion and my interpretation, but you'll be able to see where this happened and what was the outcome. So this will help you to put it into context, and then I will end with the Litecoin. Okay, so hopefully that will be acceptable to you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring in dollar index, because we've said we will cover dollar index. So I'll do this coverage to illustrate the pattern that I just discussed here. The pattern that I just outlined here, we've seen it in dollar index. Now I'll show you. And I'm going to make a copy of this dollar index chart, so then it doesn't bother me about messing it up. And once we finish this, and if the recording comes out okay, you'll be able to go back and play this to your heart's content, because I think it is important, as much as you learn about RSI and as much as you learn about, you know, trend lines and trend channels and fib retracement, is important for you to learn that, you know, there are certain patterns which are very, very predictive of where things are going to go. And I have in my YouTube channel, I have videos where I discuss this in the past. Okay, I had small group of subscribers who were asking me to do daily review of currencies, and then due to the work pressure and everything else, temporarily I have stopped, but it may be something that we will restart. So focus on this here, right? Focus on this pattern here. So this is taking you back to it's a 4-hour chart, and taking you back to, you can see, September 2012. So I've got video recordings of explaining this very pattern, and the purpose of that was I was trying to guide them in predicting this run on dollar index, right? That's what I was predicting in dollar index. And you can see that, and everybody was talking about, and even for me, for a short term, I was thinking of this as a potential head and shoulder, but it's not really a valid head and shoulder, because, you know, in order for a valid head and shoulder, you need to have not a drop from the top like this. You need to have, you know, market shoot up. If this chart will move, you know, you need to have a market topping out, like shooting up from here, okay, then it could be valid head and shoulder. So many people were looking at that a valid head and shoulder at the time. I for a little while I thought, but then I realized that this is not a proper head and shoulder. So then what I noticed was this. I noticed, doesn't matter about little squiggles, okay, just look at the bigger cycle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this, and I'm going to make this one a different color, so you will see that in contrast to my previous lines. Format, and I'll make this one thick green, okay, thick green. So you see I've got like one leg up, then we've effectively got what looks like A, B and C to come down, and then we got another leg up. Okay, so this is the wave C. So effectively we've got that, come on, that, and back here. Okay, so when we had that, it's not exactly a flat, but it is very close to it. So what is the outcome? If you see something like this one, what is the outcome? That you will expect a very strong move to the upside. So this is first part of the puzzle. So even if all of this never existed, the fact that you had a leg up, you had A, B and C, which is almost like what many because you can imagine that Bitcoin has come up from there like that. Okay, you can imagine that, right? So then it had a double top, it came down, bumped and made a low, and everybody thinks this is the end, right? Everybody thinks we finished, we had a double top, now we're going to shoot up. And anybody who was looking at this chart, certainly when we went above there, they will have thought that we've formed a double bottom, now we've broken out of the top, now we are rocketing up. But rocketing up didn't really go that far. In fact, if you put a fib zone in this particular instance, you will find that there is very important fib ratio. If you just simply do this one here, right, you'll find is approximately double the width. Double the width. So I'm going to go in there and make this one 2. Nope. Okay, approximately double the width, right? So sometimes it's double the width, sometimes it's 161.8%, which would have been this one here. So, you know, fibs really do work. But the real point that I want to try and put across to you is that we've had this coming up and we went up, but the fact that we had this double bottom, there was the expectation of this going up, but not necessarily new leg, but it's certainly going up. But the most important part is overall this here, because that's where we are. We are basically Bitcoin effectively came from the bottom, right? It did all of this here and made a top, and in fact the top was more like this one here. That's why I'm trying to focus on here. You got more, almost like a double top. Okay, so if you got a double top, then you came back, and this one indicated that potentially you had a flat. So expectation is next leg up, right? So if you had something like that in the opposite direction, like here you had Bitcoin going all the way to there, right? But here we don't have a double top. So you have to imagine this now. You will have to imagine that Bitcoin actually did this. Bitcoin came and made the first top, it fell down and came back up and made a double top. Okay, you have to imagine that. So then everything else will fit. So if Bitcoin did a double top, then came down and did this, first leg down, went back up, and second leg down, and you can see this leg is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it's a wave A, wave B, and wave C. Okay, so we've got a zigzag. We got A, B, C zigzag. Then apparently we went back up A, B, C zigzag, and for the time being, this ABC zigzag went up, and we had another ABC down. So Bitcoin did exactly this. On the first strong drop, Bitcoin did this, right? Then Bitcoin went back up, okay, and then Bitcoin dropped again. And the important part is this here. I'm gonna put like a square on it, so then in relevance term what we're talking about. Double top rather, and is this portion I'm focusing on, right? That portion we are focusing on. And what happened was that because we had ABC down, and then we went back up, retraced, and we had another ABC down, and we did a double bottom. Okay, so the expectation was now is we had a flat correction here, because technically what we should have had is we should have had this correction going down here like that. It didn't, but instead we finished with a double bottom. So the expectation then is that we are going to go up very strongly, because this double bottom meant that the outcome, we're going to have another bullish leg out. And I when I was doing this, at times I got very confused, and you can see my original markings are all still there, right? I haven't moved any of them, they're still all there. When I got into here, I thought the top was already in. So in fact now I had a 5 wave. So previously I was calling this 1, 2, and possibly 3 up to here, 4 down there, and 5. I was thinking almost that we've done, and then we went into all this nasty choppy bit. But as far as I was concerned, my expectation was met. But the point that you need to try and grasp is that because we had this is what resulted, right? Now unfortunately I can't flip this chart over, but if you can flip this chart over, then you will realize that on a Bitcoin what we've got is we've got a strong A, B, and strong C. So just like this one is not a 5 wave, that means we will expect a retracement, right? So in Bitcoin we've got ABC down for a first drop, then we got another ABC down. So that completed one cycle. Okay, it's cycle like that, and within it we've got 3 wave cycle, but basically that cycles, that's corrected ABC. That's what the Bitcoin has done. It's done double bottom, but it's basically a zigzag. And then now what we are having is we are having another run up, we are having a leg up, a retracement, and now currently in progress for that one. Okay, now it won't go all the way to there because it's not a new leg, whereas in the case of a dollar index back then, this was the new leg. It had a full 5 wave to them. But here we are going to get ABC back, and then just like out of this ABC double bottom flat correction we had this outcome, it is quite possible that now if the Bitcoin went back to retest the high, the outcome will be that, right? Now I don't know whether it's going to go there or whether it's just going to come back to here, I couldn't tell you. But I think we will have, there is a strong chance, my minimum expectation is to retest the last low, but it's quite possible we could get all the way much lower, 200, 250, you know, somewhere in that region. But if we don't, I won't be wrong, because I am expecting wherever this goes, whether it stops short or whether it goes all the way to the bottom, I need clear 5 waves down. Just like in this one, we had a flat ABC down is first cycle A, retracement, another ABC down is a flat. So we are now going back up to complete this wave B, and then we come down in 5 waves, just like when the dollar index went up in a 5 waves. So that's what we want. So it's a flat correction. This is what we call a flat correction, right? So the outcome of the flat correction is we shoot up to the other side and do exactly the same. If you want to see another live example, again in one of my recordings back at the time, I was commenting on the pound yen. I don't know whether any of you have actually looked at currency. Oh, that's the wrong one. Okay, I think what I need to do is maybe just stay on here and see if I can bring pound yen up. So this is a second example, so I'm not selecting anything specifically to just be, you know, to suit my particular purpose, in other words. Okay, but I'm basically showing you where this has happened in the past. See this area here? That area is a flat correction. It is opposite of what is happening to Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin, this one was collapsing from the top and coming here. Bitcoin is doing this. It went up, right? And then Bitcoin has done a sharp leg down. It went back up, retraced up to here, something like that, and you made another that. But what this is just one zigzag. Okay, one zigzag, just like over here. We came sharp, went down, and see here we did a zigzag. This is on a weekly chart. Let me do it on a daily chart and you'll see exactly what I mean. Okay, you can see, so we did a zigzag, and we did effectively what the Bitcoin did. Bitcoin came, you know, from the bottom, just like this one, bumping against here, went back up and did like ABC up and ABC down. That's what Bitcoin did. And in doing that, Bitcoin produced double bottom, because on a Bitcoin we had this happening, right? Bitcoin went up, made a low, retraced, and made a low. So this is double bottom. But because this double bottom is in the actual pound yen, is in setting which is with a strong wave to the downside. So if you flip this over, then it will be like Bitcoin coming up strongly from there. It's done this. Now what Bitcoin is doing, it is actually forming, after a double bottom, is forming another leg, this leg here. Okay, but Bitcoin needs to drop back down. So this, whatever Bitcoin has done up to here, is equivalent to Bitcoin doing that, right? So Bitcoin needs to come back, because all the what we see on the Bitcoin here, this chart is simply ABC. So all of that is just one zigzag. Okay, so all of that is just one zigzag. So if that's a one zigzag, and now we are going up to make a second zigzag, so we are trying to complete this part. So in the pound yen dropped, made a retracement, another drop, and it came close to the previous. So pound yen went to retest the last low. Just in the same way, it is possible that we could go back to retest this high. Okay, now if we did that, and the requirement is that you need at least 80% retracement, and we've already got that, because we've confirmed we've hit that target already, right? But I think there is still a further upside on a Bitcoin. So if the Bitcoin comes back and do a retest, so if you imagine this is the top of the Bitcoin, if you imagine that, then see what resulted after that. So we got A, B, C, one zigzag, A, B, C, two zigzag, and see what came out of it, right? Now that would be Bitcoin doing the other way. The Bitcoin could be doing that, or Bitcoin could be doing that here, like I've shown here. right? And I'm being very cautious and saying simply go back to retest that high at this low rather. But you know what happened on this one? What happened? Look, and it's a clear 5 wave. I mean, you don't need a Einstein to tell you that. You know, you see clear 5 waves. You look, go wave 1, right? You go wave 2 here, wave 3 rather, and then you got that as a wave 4. Okay, so you need a 5 wave because you have a flat. You need a 5 wave to complete whatever it is that it needs to complete, and Bitcoin will do that. So you know, I don't know exactly how and exactly where the dimensions will be, but what I am expecting is a 5 wave like that. That's what I'm expecting, 5 wave to come out of it. Just like we saw in the dollar index, we need a 5 wave to come out of that, and it went. You know, you can see how far it went. It didn't just go to retest this here, right? So in other words, looking at the Bitcoin, you know, it didn't just come to retest that. There was a potential for it to go a lot lower, and that is where I think my analysis really stand on its own, in a sense that I am giving you, I don't know how long this is going to take. So far on this one, you can see how far we have already spent. You can see from here on a 4-hour chart, we have already spent nearly a month, right? Nearly a month. So you know, there are common relationships for time and common relationship for price projections. So if, for example, it took nearly 2 months, this one could at least last you for a month. Sorry, not 2 months, 1 month. So this one could at least last you for 2-3 weeks, or it might even last you for a month. I couldn't say for sure, but my feeling is that if it didn't last you for complete month, then see up to here, it lasts you for like 2 weeks. So you know, I think there is a strong chance that this will last at least for 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. It is strong chance. Maybe we would continue for another week to go up here, and then we would come back down, and we will probably be still here or toward here, or if it goes to the bottom, you know, a lot further, this could last you easily 2 months. We could maybe March, April, February, March, we could be looking at approaching a low. So don't believe it, don't trade on based on that, but just understand what the flat correction is. Flat correction is zigzag for one leg, zigzag for other leg, so come back and form a double top. Whereas in the pound yen, it created a zigzag, it created a double bottom, and then that was the result. So if the Bitcoin makes a double top, that would be the result, but to the downside. Okay, and we've seen that also in the dollar index. Where is the dollar index on here? On the dollar index here, and the dollar index have, you know, we've had that in two cases. We had that in 2 cases. One was earlier on, one was almost here, and what came out, and then a bigger pattern where we had flat correction, and see what came out of that. You know, so don't be hoodwinked into thinking that this is going to the moon. You know, many people make a comment like that. I think it's very misleading, very not misleading to others, but it's very misleading to the actual analyst or a trader themselves, because they don't really know what they're talking about, right? They might criticize me necessarily and make an issue with me because I said this is going to go to 1,000 and instead it went to 1,050. Or I said this is going to go to 1,000 and it didn't get there, it only got to 700 or 750. They'll take an issue in that. But then they won't know what hit them. If ever they get this to the downside, I think they will be completely bled dry unless you have a very strong money management and are able to understand that we are still in a sideways correction. We are not in a new bull market. That is absolutely guaranteed. Absolutely guaranteed. And why can I say this with such a confidence? It is purely because I have analyzed this chart. I don't know how many hours I've spent in there, because my reputation was called into question and people were almost, you know, poking fun at me. So I wanted to be sure that I want to stick to my guns, but only if I'm right. Okay, so I went back and I even did a live session, which some of you will probably remember, about a week ago, to say that this poor part is not the end of correction, and no matter what you do, this is not the 5 wave down. And that's the first clue. The second clue was that looking at this one going up is not a phi wave. If you look at it here, it to me looks like up, down and up. It's not a phi wave. And if you assume that that is a phi wave, then there is a problem in counting this one here, right? Because if this was the phi wave, then this would be wave 1, this would be wave 2, and then this one in a wave 3, we should have really shot up like that. We should have shot up like that, right? But we didn't. Look what we did. You know, so from my understanding of wave count and how I've seen this happen many times before, I am now relatively sure that this is not a new trend. I have confirmed that right from the beginning, and even though now that it didn't end where I was expecting it to end, but it's taken a slightly different form. It's only modified. It's only modified what I have been expecting all along. All along, you know, right from the word go, right from the fact that we didn't have a phi wave, I've been saying along here that we are expecting this as a retracement and another retest minimum. And in that we need a phi wave. And if we don't have a phi wave, the correction hasn't completed. Okay, so with all of that exhausting explanation of where we are, then you will see in a Litecoin we're in something very similar. Okay, so in a Litecoin, if you ignore these previous bits here, so I'll take that off, but previously, see what I was expecting here is I was expecting this downtrend line to hold and price to drop. Okay, but it hasn't dropped, and it is doing exactly what the Bitcoin has done, and this one is even more pronounced, because you can see that when it did this zigzag W retracement, and effectively this is a zigzag, it's not a phi wave down, so it's small a, small b, not even a b, because in a C you need a phi wave correction. So when you have non-specific waves like that, Elliott wave called them like W, X, Y. Okay, so that's what I've done. So I've done W, X and Y, because you can't count these as a proper 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's not a proper zigzag. So it's a zigzag, but it's not like a traditional A, B and C, because wave C must have phi wave and this one doesn't have phi wave. So we call it W, X and Y. So we got wave 1 or wave A. We are retracing, and I was expecting we will run out of the thing here, and the logic was the same as what I was expecting in the Bitcoin. I was expecting this to be potentially some kind of a triangle. Okay, and in that triangle I was saying, and many people will probably remember if you're familiar with my analysis and fair in what I was explaining, is that even though we have this, I was expecting this retracement to hit something like 20, 27, 28. But when we were struggling here, I thought that maybe this is the triangle, but this last leg is lacking the momentum and it might become a failure wave, like a truncated wave I explained to you earlier. So I was expecting that trend line to hold and collapse. I have not changed this trend line at all, right? But when we fail and we at this stage we should have phi wave, which means we should really resume a strong trend to the downside like that. It didn't do that. We started going sideways, and by that time we realized, and I was saying there is still a possibility, because my overall triangle on this one did allow for that, and you can see that the Bitcoin is almost agreeing with this ending diagonal, but only in this way. But it's not a technical diagonal now, it's not technical triangle now, because you can see that in that triangle we got possibly 1, 2, 3, but this 4 is very strange. But even if you accept it, then this is it. But if the Bitcoin makes a new high, then I expect that this triangle idea that I'm telling you about, which on the Litecoin, if the Bitcoin has already failed this concept, so it's possible Litecoin is going to fail as well. Litecoin is going to get a strong leg and actually make a real run, because it's been lagging behind so much recently, and because it's lagging, I think what we've got here is A, B or W, X and Y. That's what we got. Okay, so I'm going to actually just go and apply that. So we got W, we got X here, X here rather, and we've got a Y. So Y comes here, and it becomes a Y. Okay, so what we have now is we have that as an A, B and C. So in this particular what I'm going to do, borrow this one to save time. So this becomes A, right? This becomes C over here, or maybe over here. Okay, wave B. Now we're in a wave C, and in a wave C we must have 5 waves. Okay, so this is in a 4-hour chart. So if you look at it, you'll be able to see where the 5 wave actually started. Let me drop down to 1 hour. 1 hour. Maybe what I should do is I should take a copy of this and then mess about with that one. And then I'll be coming to an end, and hopefully any questions you might have, I'll be able to address them. So let me drop down to 1 hour. Okay, so the letters that I just applied disappeared. However, you know what I'm talking about now is we've effectively got like W, X and Y. So that's a wave A. Then this could be, you know, running kind of a flat as a wave B. Now we are going into wave C, and wave C must have 5 waves. Okay, so when you start counting this one, how does this count? So you can see the same kind of a concept. This here is a very small leg up, but it's possibly a first leg up, or maybe we started the leg from here. So it's quite possible this is wave A, wave 1 rather, minor wave 1. So let me quickly just put those numbers on. This one could be very small, and I haven't clarified by going down to 5-minute chart or 15-minute chart, so I'm not sure if I can count 5 waves in there, but I'm assuming that is wave 1. Okay, and in that case wave 1, but in a bracket, wave 1. So this here will be wave 2, and my analysis of Bitcoin will actually help me with this one now already. Okay, so this will be 2, and then I think that we've got A, B and C. So maybe the 2 actually finished here. This one finished there. Okay, so after that, take this off. So 2 finished there, and therefore that would have been a strange kind of a looking wave, but it may be like 1, A, B and C. That's why. Okay, so you got in this one we have a running flat compared with a normal flat. This is the running flat, and now we have started this wave 3. So in a wave 3 we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, right? So this portion could well be wave 3. So this is the 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So this could well be actually what we should have is this wave going on to here. Okay, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So that's a wave 1. This one here is a wave 2. This is wave 2. This is wave 3. We are currently in a correction for wave 4, and the correction may well be over, just like the Bitcoin. And then this will run up to here somewhere, maybe make a wave 5, and that wave 5 will become a wave 3 top. Wave 3 top in bracket. So you can see now how I'm already beginning to plot the path of where this thing is going now, even without, you know, any detail of price actually getting there. I'm just sketching rough hand. I'm sketching where it's going to go. Okay, so once we do that, we'll have 5 waves. So we're going to get something in this order. We're going to get from here to go to there somewhere. That will complete this wave 3. We'll drop down for wave 4, something like that, and then we'll go back up to complete wave 5. And then if you look at it overall, where that's going to take us is that we will be getting probably, in terms of the, if this one comes in, maybe we might get to here 31 possibly, but more likely over here around 36. I didn't actually do justice to this one by doing correct, but you know, we might, if we don't get all the way to 36, then about 32 you can see where we had a previous zone with a lot of resistance in this area here. So basically that's where I'm expecting this might well go to, and now we know this is not a triangle, we can take this away, and what this will do is it actually help us to, you see what I'm talking about in this trend line. This will actually help us in plotting the path of the future price action, and you don't have to be absolutely exact. This is just simply a guideline. Okay, So if I now clone this one and put it over here, you can see where this is going to go. I mean, I can put this one there, but maybe it might not. It could, if this one really rockets, we could get there. But if it didn't, I would be quite happy for this to do what it needs to do, simply by the recent high we had here. See, we had a high here, recent high here. So this one could go and hit that, and if it gets up to 30, 32, 30, 50, maybe that might make the top, or this thing will actually run and it will actually go and hit like that 36 area. So that's basically where I think where Litecoin is going to run out. And then, just like the Bitcoin will have a 5-wave down, we will see a Litecoin do exactly the same from there, right? Exactly the same. And if you look at this retracement of the overall decline, you can see maybe we might do 61.8%, this one here. See where that comes? See how things are lining up now? My wave count is lining up, previous resistance zone coming back into play possibly, or if we breach that one, then we go to 36, then maybe we are talking about this higher level where the sell-off took off, right? So that's basically what I'm talking about. Now, generally what I would do is I would do like backward and forward calculations or fib projections. So I'll just show you what I mean, and maybe you can begin to experiment with this on your own. Okay, so what we had a leg up to here, right? And I'm going to put that from the bottom to try and bring some kind of relationship. Okay, now I will tell you immediately that there's going to be, if I take 2 off, but instead I put 1.618, make that thicker, right? So see where that's coming. See how I think now there is a strong chance this thing hitting 36, because as long as it remains in this gently rising trend channel, there is a possibility for this one to hit 36, whether it hits 36 here or whether it actually sort of travels a little bit to the left or to the right rather, if I can distinguish this aspect of trading view platform is very unsatisfactory, because you try and move one thing and you move everything. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, I won't waste any more time because I think I'm getting a little frustrated with that. Okay, so even if it hit there, or maybe it spends a bit more time sideways and then make a run, basically that's a target now I'm looking for, approximately 35, 36. And if you're looking to show, I wouldn't trade this one. As I say, I don't like trading velocity, a volatile instrument like this, that in a space of an hour it could do like $10. I don't want to do that, but rather I would be looking out for confirmation of what I'm now expecting, and what I'll be looking for is laying a trap here, laying a trap there, right? And then my risk would be, if people think that this is going to the moon, I don't care if it goes to the moon, let it go to the moon. But look, I have this high here. If I'm expecting there, my structure high is here. So this one I can put my stop maybe just a little bit above that, maybe like 44 or 43 or something like that. So potentially from there to here I could have a $6 or maybe $7 or maybe $8, but then my expectation is for this to come back and retest there, right? So consider that for your risk to reward ratio. And if you're really looking for a massive long trade, then I would expect this one not do anything at all. Now we expected this, let it play it out. We expect 5-wave decline, let it play out. When it gets back to this level, then that's where my next net will be waiting. I will be looking now for identifying 5 clear waves within that, and I can do this with great ease because I'm not rushed. I don't have to watch my chart all day long. I want 5 waves, and when the 5 waves comes into proximity of there, I begin to see evidence of 5-wave completing, RSI divergence, and possibly some kind of a new downtrend channel like that may be forming to help me guide myself in something like this, for example. Then everything is there, and then if I'm wrong, I can only be wrong for a short time and in a minute degree. If I now try and catch this one to buy, if this completes here around 9 or maybe even lower, how about 6? How about 6? It's not ridiculous. Don't dismiss this market is such that it will prove everyone, you, me, everybody included, no matter how clever we are and how much knowledgeable we may be, it will prove us to be an absolute fool. So if people don't want to accept that, that's fine. Let the market prove them exactly what they are, and they'll find out from their personal experience. If this one came to 6 and you found that that's where the 5 wave completes, how about buying it there? Because where you going to go? This thing is not going to go down now to 2 and 3. This one, because the Elliott wave is outlining what it should be doing, it should be now going back all the way there. How about a trade like that? How about a trade like that where you take it from 6 and drive it all the way to maybe 40, maybe go even above that? How about this one going to 60? This is not unrealistic, but if you bought it at 6 and it goes to 60, how about that? It can take its time. I wouldn't be in a rush. If it doesn't do it in a week, that's fine, no problem. You let it do it in 2-3 weeks, let it do it in 2-3 months, let it take 6 months, let it take a whole year. I don't care. That's what I'm about. So hopefully you'll understand where I come from, why I focus on a larger time, why $5 and $10 move to me is really nothing. It doesn't make any changes in the analysis. So and I've showed you where we stand both on a Bitcoin and Litecoin, in great detail now. You can play this video again if the recording comes out well, but essentially you will gather everything that I've just explained from my yesterday's recording, which is I think only just over half an hour. But more importantly is the explanation of what we call a flat correction. Don't dismiss it. Don't let anybody, no matter how clever they sound, no matter how much they know, don't let them fool you about what a flat correction is and what is the likely outcome. I demonstrated that using the dollar index chart, and I also demonstrated it by using the pound yen chart. Now I will just conclude, because I think what I was really asked to do was to say where the dollar index is going to go from here. Okay, so if the chart moves here, I think the dollar index is currently very, very vulnerable. And you see, this is what I do. I often do a sketch like that, and I tell people, whoever follows me or takes what I say into account, this particular diagram, I've been sharing this dollar index chart with people now for several months, almost from, in fact, I've been saying, look here, when I said this here, right, this arrow, see, first mention of taper, and this is what happened, and then I counted my waves, and ever since I've been bearish on the dollar. And another time I'll explain to you my bigger time frame on a dollar. But you see, I've been saying now, after I expected this decline 5 waves, I had this one up, but then I had waves which were not really ideal waves. So then I realized that the reason why is because we're in a falling wedge. We had a falling wedge, then we broke out, and we are currently retracing. Okay, and this to me is going to be another flat. We're going to wave WXY wave A, WXY wave B. We are now going back in A, B and C, and it will effectively become a double top, which will be very, very similar to the current Bitcoin, except that this correction comes after such a decline. So what the result would be is, upon completion of this flat correction over here like that, we will be continuing straight down. Now I don't know whether flat correction in dollar index will actually happen, because I am expecting this, whatever messy thing this is going on is going to go and complete maybe around about 80-81, but it is possible that this could actually muster up courage and go all the way to there. I'm quite happy with that. That would be a perfect to me, absolute perfect, because when the dollar index get there, I know this is a flat correction. Now the dollar index will really fall like a stone, and I can then lay my traps for all dollar related pairs. So like euro USD, pound dollar, everything will gain against the dollar, when dollar will literally collapse. Long term, I have, if you look at some of my dollar index charts I've published, long term I'm expecting dollar index to drop all the way to maybe in the region of 68, 70, at least about 70, but more likely 68, 65 area. So that's enough for me. Let me see if there's any quick questions, and maybe then I'll have to stop the recording so it doesn't get waffly. Maybe what I should do is I should actually stop the recording, and then we don't complicate that.